In business, in life, in ministry, can you tell us the importance of failing? Because sometimes people just see the successful story and you've reached 1 billion downloads and it must have been roses and everything else. But tell us, were there times of struggle? Were there things that you tried that failed? Can you give us an insight?
Um, yeah, well, the one that's really sort of prominent in this particular story is obviously the fact that the website that we launched didn't work. It didn't help us engage with the Bible. That was in September of 2007. By December, the evidence was clear that it wasn't working. So just a couple of months in, we'd given it enough time to get through the early bugs and things, that the website had. But we could just tell that we weren't actually using it naturally, like it wasn't changing how we engage in the Bible. I think it's actually important to be honest when something fails and actually acknowledge that it fails. There are people that think differently than that. They think that that it's not a failure as long as you keep trying. That's kind of, phrase I've heard. Well, I actually like to just say it failed. And then I think what it does is it like allows me to go deeper into my analysis or understanding of why it failed. If we're afraid to say that it fails, a lot of times we're not afraid to go all the way down to the core idea. And I want to go all the way down to the beginning and say, did we even have it wrong on step one, in this? And that process is what yields learning. And I don't love it, like I don't love the concept of feeling like you failed. I'd love to be able to get it right, on the first try. But sometimes that's also not good too. If you get it right on the first try, you don't know why it's right sometimes, and you don't know how to keep it right because you didn't kind of take a journey to get there. But failure's a good teacher, and it was in this particular case what led us to try it on a mobile device because we felt like one of the reasons it failed it was that it was on a desktop computer, and back then, desktop computers were actually on your desktop. They weren't portable. And so we felt like we basically had moved the Bible from an end table or nightstand to your office desktop. And that we just really relocated it. But we needed to be on something that was with us all the time to kind of intersect our lives in a more meaningful way. And that obviously worked and put us in a position to where in 2008 when Steve Jobs announced the App Store, we were right there with eyes to see the opportunity because it had been working on a mobile device. If we'd been continuing to try to improve the website, we wouldn't have seen the opportunity. And acknowledging the failure is what made it work.